We define slope as the ratio of change of the change in y over the change in x, okay, or the rise over the run. So our slope definition looks like this. Slope is equal to the change in the y over the change in the x, which is our rise over run. And since slope is a ratio of change, it can describe rates in problems. A rate is a ratio as well. So these rates and slopes usually go together in a problem or in a relationship. So Jane, an author of a popular book, receives royalty for the number of books over 1,000 that are sold. So after she sells 1,000 books, so at 1,000 books she gets 0 amount of royalty. But after that, she gets a royalty, which is a percentage amount of payment for each book sold. So it looks like this. So we'll just graph it. So 1,000 books, she gets 0. At 5,000, she's going to get $200. Okay, so 5,000 is $200 here. 6,000 books, she gets $250 of royalty. And 10,000, she ends up with $450. Okay. And looking at this pattern, it definitely looks like a straight line pattern. So as I draw my straight line through there, okay. So this pattern is a straight line pattern, so it is defined by some position and an angle or slope. So we want to calculate the slope of this line, of this relationship. So we can calculate the slope by looking at a slope triangle. We can use any 2 points to make the triangle. We can make a big triangle, we can make a small triangle, but we need the vertical and the horizontal here. Okay, and we're going to find the slope. So we calculate the slope here. We're going to find the change in y. So the change in y is going to be 250. That's my end position. My starting position was 0. So my change in y is plus 250. I look at my change in x. Okay, my end position is 6,000. And my starting position was 1,000. It looks like 6,000 to 1,000. So my change in x is plus 5,000. Okay, in this case, it's 5,000 books and $250. So if I calculate the slope, and I can show the same slope in the table. So again, this is important to recognize that slope can be found on the graph. It can be found on the table. Okay. So I went from 1,000 to 6,000. That's my plus 5,000 books. And from 0 to 250, there's my plus $250. Okay, so the slope can be found in the table. It can be found in my slope triangle. And when I calculate the slope, I need to calculate the ratio of change. And slope is always the y first over the x. So the change in the y over the change in x, it's going to be $250 for every 5,000 books. Okay, and we're going to change that to a unit rate. So we're going to find a unit rate, we divide. So 250 divided by 5,000 is going to be $0.05 per book. Okay, and this is, the slope value is 0.05, and the slope represents, what the slope is the royalty of $0.05 per book. Okay, and that is a rate, which then shows up as also as slope. So these two things are connected. We want to connect this idea that slope is a ratio of change, and it often represents a rate in a problem. Okay, and or a rate in a relationship.